So the tradition is that as soon as my birthday is over on the 23rd of November, we start getting ready with the Christmas decorations. So today I am going up into the dusty old attic to get the Christmas tree out. Why don't I film putting the Christmas tree up, but also turn it into a tarot tag? So how about the first prompt being a deck that reminds you of a dusty attic? Right, here we go, let's go get it. So I've climbed about the loft hatch, and here all the boxes, underneath all of these boxes, which have all got different Christmas decorations in, there is a tree which I have to carry down in sections and individual branches. It's one that you build from scratch. I'll show you in a minute, but first of all, what deck reminds me of this chaos and secret dark corners? So for the dusty attic deck, for me, it just has to be this one. Now this is a new little bag for this. I've got this bag specifically for this deck to let it breathe, because the little purse it was in was so tight to get the cards in and out of. It was actually giving me claustrophobia to use the deck. So this is the Divine Muses Oracle. I haven't used it at all yet. The reason being is because of, I think, the bag. Every time I tried to use it, I did get claustrophobia. Getting it out of the bag was such a struggle, and it felt so tight fitting in there. It was making me panic. And then after that panic, looking at the cards with this sort of greyish, greeny blue vintage overlay, you really see it on this card here. Again, it was making me feel a little bit like I couldn't breathe. So having left it in that really airy bag now, that feeling is going. Goodness me, if this doesn't look like something that you might find in corners of an attic, then I don't know what does. It's like a real cornucopia of vintage old things, of bones, of old ballerina dolls, of old family portraits and silk flowers, umbrellas or old dishes. It's that type of thing that you might find in the loft. And of course it's got that sort of vintagey feel to it. This just reminds me of boxes in the loft, and my loft, oh boy, is it ever full of spiders and spider webs. I mean, look at this. This is attic territory for sure. So clambering up to find the Christmas decorations every year. If that was a deck, it would be this one. And in amongst all the chaos and the mayhem and the dust and the spiders' webs, there is boxes of colour and sparkles that I think shows well in this one. But there's also corners, dark corners that are the unknown. So yeah, the Divine Muses Oracle is definitely my attic deck, and I feel so different, I have to say, flicking through this deck, having given it 6 months to breathe inside a new bag. Still got a full-size tree there to bring out. Still got all the key boxes of baubles and stuff up there. And I'll show you what the landing looks like already. There's another third to come out. Look, it's all in the bathroom. It's all here. This is the actual tree itself. It's all round the back of me. Oh my goodness me. Is it just me that has this at Christmas? This is the structure of my tree, and all trees are different structures, aren't they? You might have a fake tree that you just pull out the box and it just unravels and it's got all the lights and the baubles already on. You might have a tree like mine where you have to put each individual branch on one at a time and splay it out. You might be a real tree person that goes to a Christmas tree farm and chooses one every year. You might decorate just a tree in your garden. You might use a stick every year for a tree. I don't know, we've all got different structure bases for our trees. So for the next prompt, let's think about structures. What tarot structure do you like? So are you a Marseille person? Are you a Rider-Waite-Smith person? Are you a Lenormand? Are you the Thoth reader and that's all you read? You just like Thoth. Which tarot structure are you? Well, I have to say I am without doubt a Rider-Waite girly. That isn't to say that I'm not completely fascinated by Thoth, completely fascinated by Marseille as well, because I am. But my first instinct, I got the book Tarot 101 and heard about all the different types of tarot structure, and because Rider-Waite just seemed the most prevalent with different decks, that was the reason why I chose this one. I chose it with no real concept of what I was choosing beyond just there seemed to be more things to do with Rider-Waite out there. And this was the deck I went and bought from my local metaphysical shop. The original Rider-Waite tarot deck, which has these blue backs. And guys, I love this deck. It was very quickly relegated to just use this deck for mediumship reading with my dad, because my dad's voice came through this deck so strongly one day, and my dad always gives me certain cards just to show it's him. And the readings that I've done with this deck, talking to my dad, have just been so impactful. So I was very quickly without a Rider-Waite deck the minute my dad's voice came through, so I had to go and buy another one. So the second deck I bought came second hand. It was actually, I was buying a different deck. I can't even remember what deck I was buying, but it was a different deck second hand on eBay. Just as part of the bidding, she threw in a handmade crochet bag and another Rider-Waite deck. So this is the Radiant Waite Tarot with these backs, a lot more brightly coloured, as you all know. If I compare it to the original, you will see like it really is a completely different kettle of fish. So I ended up with two Rider-Waite decks. Now, I always thought that this was my favourite because it was more brightly coloured, but over the years I always do come back to loving this one more. So that's my initial experience with the Rider-Waite. And then I got sent by a beautiful viewer a yellow box Rider-Waite, and this deck I think transformed my relationship with the Rider-Waite tarot deck itself, just because it is so beautiful to read with. And this is the deck that I use for readings for me now. So the original Rider-Waite is just for my dad. I keep that on my altar. The Radiant Rider-Waite kind of doesn't get as much love as it should really, but if I do want to do a reading that isn't a mediumship reading with the Rider-Waite deck itself, this is the one I come to. This I love. It's bright, it's airy, it's crisp, and I really love it, and it did really transform my relationship with this deck. But talking about the system, I also wanted to share a book. So I already said that I got Tarot 101, which is a great starter book, but the book that really consolidated my learning with this deck is Liz Dean's The Ultimate Guide to Tarot. This is the book that I devoured multiple times over and over again when I was initially learning, and it's just so good. So for each of the majors you get all of the links, or astrology, Kabbalah. You get upright meanings, reversed meanings. You get all the symbols explained. You get any history links with the card, and then you also get a spread to practice around that one card, and you get that sort of info for every one of the majors. It's just so good when you're a complete newbie. And then when you get to the minors, you've got still a double page spread around each of the minors, and of course it uses the images of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck in there. So I think between the deck itself and this book, it kind of really did create the structure of me being a Rider-Waite-Smith girl. So those are my Rider-Waite decks and the book that I would highly recommend. And then of course, with use and study and playing with the cards branch by branch, you finally get an understanding, just like the Christmas tree eventually forms. Oh my gosh, tinsel. So tinsel wraps around the tree. How about a deck that you get wrapped up in, that when you start using you forget about all your other decks? A deck that can completely hold your attention. Share me your tinsel deck. So for my tinsel deck, I nearly picked the Arthurian Tarot for this one, because the Arthurian Tarot is one that really does wrap me up and hold my attention. However, I thought I'd share one that I haven't shared much on this channel, which over the last few months has really wrapped me up and held my attention, and this is the Falaco's Tarot. It's got these backs, and for ages this deck was on my shelf not being used. Oh my gosh, this hermit card, guys, this hermit card has stalked me in the last few months. But yeah, it wasn't getting as much love as it should have, and I realised that I was saving this deck for best. I'd realised that when I did my Anatomy of a Deck collection video, and yet I still wasn't using it. And one day I just thought, this is ridiculous, you need to bite the bullet with this deck. And I did. I think it's just because I'm so in love with the artwork that, yeah, there was something stopping me from picking it up to use, but I've loved it. I really have. It's a tricky one, I think, to initially connect with. I think the guidebook doesn't always help, I don't think. It's a very small little guidebook. It's very art centered. It's almost like beyond a tarot deck, it's like a whole body of art that's got its own sort of complex meanings as well. And it's one that definitely I need to work with more, but I've loved it. I've paired it with the Divine Circus Oracle. That's been the most incredible pairing, and I've had some lovely moments with it. And I think because it does pull you in deep and wraps you up in the words in the guidebook and really gets you thinking, it is a bit like being wrapped up in tinsel. It's just, you're surrounded with beauty on every card. You're surrounded with these different styles as well, which can also add into the reading, and the kind of not so obvious wording of the guidebook as well. It just keeps you really thinking and wrapped up, and is that what it means? So it's not your most obvious use, but oh boy, it is really gorgeous. So for my tinsel deck, I am picking the Sublime Falaco's Tarot. Right, underneath the tinsel we have, look, baubles. Look, we've got mirror baubles, we've got pink ones, we've got all sorts of baubles in here. How about a deck that just goes round and round. It just permeates your whole year. It rolls around time and time again, a repeating deck. So the bauble, the deck that keeps rolling around, it's the one that you keep going back to, the one that keeps calling your name. It rolls round and round. It never comes to a stop. It's always there somewhere in your practice. So my bauble deck this year, it's a new one for me this year. This is Andy Taylor's Feel Your Chakras Oracle. This is the little mini sticker edition. I still haven't put my stickers on, guys. Isn't that bad? But honestly, I got this deck because I was interested in doing chakra work. Little did I know just how fantastic this little deck would be to work with. It's been reached for so many times this year, I can't even tell you. It's added a whole new dimension to a lot of my tarot practice this year, and I've really loved it. Honestly, when I ordered it, I just thought, well, it would be useful to have a chakra deck. I'm certain it would be useful on a healing journey where I feel that some energy is stuck. Let's just get a chakra deck in my collection. But it's turned out to be way more than that. It is just a fantastic little tool for self-evaluation and understanding and healing. It goes with so many decks. It's clarified readings over and over again for me this year, and it's certainly been the Bauble deck because it just keeps rolling around. It gets reached for again and again and again and again. So for that reason, the Feel Your Chakras Oracle is my Bauble deck. So in this box, what have we got in this box? Oh, so these are all things to lay the table with. There's an inflatable Christmas tree in there. There's things to go on the Christmas table. There's placemats. But on the top, look, we've got this snowman here. How about a snowman deck? A deck that melts your heart every time that you get it out. It might be the imagery, it might be the way it reads, but give me a deck that melts your heart and tell me why it melts your heart. So my snowman deck, a deck that melts my heart. Well, look, the box colour is completely the right colour. You've got snow on the ground, you've got blue sky, but look, you've got pudgy unicorns, and if that isn't enough to get you in a place of heart melted immediately, then I don't know what would. And look at these cards. I've shown this deck a few times, I know, on my channel. But look, the 10 of coins with like cupcakes and hedgehogs and celebrations, and the 9 of wands with a bandaged up panda on lollipops. I mean, this is just the most heart melting, gloriously wonderful, the cutest, the sweetest, the most amazing deck ever. I literally want to squeal every time I get this deck out to show you. I really do. Just, it delights every dark corner of my soul. Every dark corner gets lit up. My heart just melts. It's just wonderful. Look, the 7 of Cups is an octopus, and the Knight of Cups, look at that. I just love it. And Strength with a mouse playing a violin on a cat's head. It's just really wonderful, and yeah, it's joy. It's an absolute joy. So my heart melting snowman deck is the Kawaii Chat Tarot. It is just absolutely fabulous. So these are some of the very earliest Christmas decorations I ever made with my kids. Now this is for the second tree. All of these homemade Christmas decorations. I mean, look at this. are for the kids' tree. I mean, look at this snowman made from yogurt pots. This was made, it says, my first snowman, the 19th of the 11th, 2007. So Tilly was 2 when she made that. So these are all child-made Christmas decorations for their tree. How about the handmade Christmas decoration? Show me a deck that is extra special to you because of the connection with the person who made it. These are some of my most precious Christmas decorations because of who made them. So a deck that's special to you because of your connection with the creator. It might be a deck by your favorite creator. It might be a deck that you've created. It might be a deck that feels extra handmade and you love it for that. So your handmade deck, what is that? So for my handmade deck, I shared earlier the Feel Your Chakras Oracle by Andy Taylor. Now that's the sticker edition, but in the same package, Andy put a surprise in. This is the same deck, but it's the vintage edition, and Andy was just trialing this. So the cardstock is not really the cardstock she would use for the final deck, but she sent it out just for me to have a look at, and I love it so much. Honestly, it made me cry, and because it's like sort of printed on trial paper, this really does feel handmade. But even so, oh my gosh, I've used this version of the deck almost as much as I've used that version, and it was just so wonderful. When this arrived, I just finished painting a white picket fence in my garden, and I was really emotional because I thought I'd never ever get a white picket fence in my life. It'd been a dream, roses around a white picket fence. All my life I'd dreamt of that, and I just didn't feel like I'd got a white picket fence kind of life. And the day that I decided to just do it and to paint a fence, it was the day that when I came in after doing it, already emotional from doing that, this was waiting for me, and it just felt so white picket fencey as a deck for me as well. So this is really a beautiful handmade deck, and of course I love Andy as well, so on every level this kind of fits in with the prompt. However, I also wanted to share another oracle for the handmade because I cannot do this one without sharing the Sheet of Insight Oracle, which is a deck that's made by one of my very best friends, Renee, over at Meadowlark Mystic. So this is Renee's deck, and I was behind the scenes seeing this actually being made, seeing the original art come together, and just being blown away in monthly FaceTime chats, watching this deck emerge and get downloaded and turned into a reality by Renee. And to be honest, it was one of the most jaw-dropping, incredible experiences to watch this deck, which is channeled art, come to life and come into being. So much so that I've got a number of the original pieces I actually bought because I wanted to never forget this occasion of this deck coming to life. So for me, this is incredibly special and fits in with this category perfectly because it's made extra special because of the person who made it and the fact that I got to watch it being made and seeing the process unfold. So this is Renee's Sheet of Insight Oracle. In this bag I spy a mistletoe wreath. So mistletoe, kissing under the mistletoe. What's your mistletoe deck? What deck makes you think of love in the holiday season? So for my kissing under the mistletoe deck, I am going to go for this tarot, the Art of Love tarot. So I just think that, look at the backs for a start. They've got hearts on. I think whenever I think of romantic love or kissing under the mistletoe, this is the deck that just jumps into my mind. So you've got the suit of hearts, you've got the suit of trees as well. You also have the suit of stars and angels. So that's very Christmas tree, isn't it? Angels and stars and trees and hearts. It is beautiful artwork in this deck. I'm not going to lie and tell you that I really know this deck well, because I don't. It's one that I still haven't worked with. I feel really ready to start working with this. Anything to do with the word love, or with hearts, or with relationships, or the divine masculine. Anything up until now has been something that I haven't been able to go near, but I am beginning to be in a completely different space now, and I think this will be lovely to work with in 2024. The artwork is spectacular, isn't it? Look at it. So I'm really interested to just see what this deck is all about, and to really deep dive with it and just see what sort of relationship together we can forge. I wonder if we'll be kissing under the mistletoe, whether it will be a love bond, who knows. So the Art of Love Tarot is definitely my choice for my mistletoe deck. We have a box of fairy lights, the most important aspect of all Christmas decorations, the fairy lights. So your fairy light deck, what deck feels like sparkles and sparkling and joy and twinkliness of this season? Share me your fairy light deck. Definitely one of my favourite decks to get out during Yule or Christmas or the winter season. This is definitely my fairy light deck. This is a deck that just makes me sparkle with joy, and this is the Star Tarot. I mean, look at those backs. Could those backs be any more fitting for the season? I don't think so. And it sparkles. Look, you've got the gilt edges. Look at those. And look at this deck. It is just so stunningly beautiful. It blows my mind. This really is the twinkle of the fairy lights. Now, I have always loved fairy lights. I coined a phrase called fairy light therapy, because when I was going through real dark time, I put fairy lights up in every room, because I realised that to walk in a room lit by fairy lights, it's very hard to stay down when there's fairy lights twinkling everywhere. Just the beauty just wraps you up somehow. I am literally fairy light obsessed, and you can kind of see that sort of sparkle and that level of intense beauty that just takes your mind away from anything shadowy in this deck. Look at it. It really is the most stunningly beautiful deck, and again, it is just perfect to use at this time of year. I think the colour palette, not only does it have this cold blue and white feel that just screams winter, but it also has on top of that mixed in this multicoloured feel. It does both. It does warm multicoloured without detracting from the cold winter vibe. It's one in on its own, to be honest. I love it. So for fairy light decks, yeah, it had to be this one. There was no other one in the running whatsoever. So that's the Star Tarot. Okay, this is the one of the last boxes on here. What have we got in here? I spy a tree topper. So our tree toppers, we have a stag, we also have a star, we have a double tree topper. So your tree topper deck, just tell me what your tree topper is and share me a deck that matches it. So if you have a fairy or an angel on the top of your tree, it might be a fairy or an angel's deck. This is quite pagan, so I could pick a pagan deck, or a star. It could be your star deck, your favourite deck that you pick. So your tree topper deck, what is it and why? Oh, because of the stag, for my tree topper, I've got to pick the Forest of Enchantment, because yeah, that my stag on top of the tree just reminds me of this card. So you get the stag not only in the full card, but you also get it in the world card, so it's at the beginning and the end of the majors. This deck is just magical, and this time of the year is magical enough to be represented by a deck like this. It's real story time. It's very green. It's definitely not the weather of this time of year. You've got the star there. We've got starlight. That's my star on top of the tree represented. But like I say, the pagan element of the stag, which I wanted on my Christmas tree, is just fully embodied, I think, by the feel of this deck. It feels pagan. It feels like you're in the middle of a magic wood. There's the world card. There's the stag looking out, having left the enchanted forest, and is now looking out on the possibilities. And you'll see it again in the full card when I find it. The strength card in this deck is absolutely stunning. You've got all sorts of magical creatures. There's dragons, there's dancing bears, there's magical flowers, there's magical people. It's just amazing, this deck. I love it. Look, you've got all these potions being mixed, and you've got will-o'-the-wisp, you've got the secret lives of animals, you've got fairies. Oh, it's just so magical. Look at this Six of Boons as well. That is one of my all-time favourite cards. Yeah, it's just glorious. And of course, because I want to find the full card, it's nowhere to be seen, but at least we get to have a proper flick through the magic of this deck. I suppose the green is a representation of the Christmas tree itself, so it kind of seems apt that we end in a forest, doesn't it? And is this full card going to be the very last one? Oh my goodness, it is. It's the very last one. How apt is that? So it's the white heart in this deck. Really apt that we end in amongst greenness for a Christmas tree video, and that is definitely my tree topper on the top. So finally, it wouldn't be a Christmas tree tarot video without showing you the final results of all those boxes brought out of the dusty attic. So we've got the main tree here, which the kids helped me decorate. Look, you can see the star and the stag on top. I love a tree that looks like a firework going off. And then in this corner we've got the kids tree. This has got all their handmade decorations over the years, handmade angel tree topper, and all of the decorations they've chosen in the shops specifically for their tree. We've got the mantelpiece, which has got Santa and Christmas trees on, and you can see the view down, and Christmas Santa on the dining table. And then on the windowsill in the lounge we have what we call Wibble Wobble Land. So it has a little mini purple tree and a little mini pink tree, and it has Santas and snowmen and angel dolls. And we've just always put Wibble Wobble Land on this window, and we love it. and it's called a Wibble Wobble Land because most of those baubles that you see on the windowsill are all on thin metal rods, so everything on here wibble wobbles, as you can see, even the snowmen. So that's it, guys. That is all of the Christmas decorations up, ready for this Christmas or Yuletime season. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed me linking that mammoth task all to the tarot. If you want to join in, I'd love to see that too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.